Okay, so there are stories and there are stories, and this was one of the craziest stories that has literally ever happened to me. So I cannot wait to share with you, cannot wait to hear your thoughts. And it started a couple days back. So at my book launch, the way that the events worked is that there was an hour-long lecture where I'd share some of the most deep and inspiring ideas that lie at the very center and foundation of the book. And then at the end, people can buy the book. Right? So you can buy it with Zelle, you can pay with PayPal, you can pay in cash, whatever it is. So I'm going back after the event and I look at my phone and someone paid $50 for the book instead of $30. So I'm thinking like, well, what's going on? There are really two options. One is that they paid a little extra to say either, I think it's worth more, giving a little bonus, a little gift, whatever it is. And the other is that they made a mistake, but I don't know because they didn't tell me. So I recognize the name. He'd introduced himself as a very nice guy. And I'm thinking like, how do I track this guy down to see if I have to return $20 to him? So I look him up and I was able to find his work email address. I sent him an email. I was able to track down his work phone number. So I sent him a message. I left him a message actually. I left someone else a message to send to him. A whole complicated thing. And I'm thinking like, this is pretty annoying. Like it would have been a lot easier if he would have just told me, hey, I'm giving you a gift. And it's one of those things where in all likelihood it was a gift, but there's a possibility that it was a mistake and I have to do all the work and track him down and find him. It's a little bit annoying, but you do what you gotta do. And then all of a sudden I had this flash and I almost gasped. You don't really gasp in real life. Like if you're an actor, you're supposed to gasp, you gasp. Like I actually gasp. But it was this crazy revelation where I realized, oh my gosh, a couple days before that event, I was listening to a story. And when I exercise, I either listen to a share, a lecture, I listen to music, I listen to sometimes motivational content. And this was a motivating story. And I was really only listening to the story because I love the music in the background. But the story went like this. That a guy was going to a supermarket and he paid for the groceries and the person behind the cash register gave him $20 too much. So he's in the car and he sees that there's $20 too much. He's like, I gotta go back, drive back and give back $20. And his friend looks at him and says, well, no, you don't gotta go back, keep the money. Why should you keep the money? Because if they gave you $20 too much, they're not gonna track you down and try to find you, just keep the money. He says, no, like I'm gonna return it. The guy says, why? He says, because this is what you do. You return, you're honest. So he goes back, returns the money, and the guy behind the cash register doesn't even say thank you, just takes the money. His friend says, ha, I told you, doesn't even care. Like, why do you even do that? He said, I told you, I'm not doing it because of him. I'm doing it because of me. Because this is what I believe in. I believe in being honest, being genuine, being truthful. And keep in mind that the person who's sharing the story, I've listened to everything he's ever said. Right? I know every single story he's ever said. I've never heard this story before. The first time I've ever heard him say this story. Also keep in mind that I wasn't actually listening because I wanted to listen to the story. I was listening because I was enjoying the music in the background. So guess what happened? I listened to that same exact video the next night and the next night. And I've listened to it probably 6 times in the past week, but not because of the story, because of the music. Meanwhile, our actual story in real life comes to a conclusion where the guy sends me back an email not acknowledging the fact that I spent all this time reaching out to him. And once again, he's a very nice guy. But he basically just said, your book is worth way more than $30, and I gave you $50, but it's worth even more than that. And it was a nice email. But he didn't acknowledge the effort I put into tracking down, that I tried to return the money, or that he, should have mentioned to me that he's paying more than the actual price, because, if I'm honest and I see that someone pays more, obviously I'm going to have to put in the effort to track him down. Now, here's where it gets crazy. Number one, how much more did he pay than the cost of the book? $20. How much more did the guy get in the story that I was listening to from the guy in the grocery store? $20. That's crazy, right? These stories were overlapping at the same time. I had no idea, and it was subconscious because I was listening to that story again. Remember, I didn't listen to it once or twice or 3 times. I listened to it must have been 6 times. It's the only story I've ever heard from him in the past couple of years that I hadn't heard him say before. All right? And this is all happening at the same time. Guess what's even crazier? Guy didn't thank me. Guy didn't thank him in that story. Am I upset that you didn't thank me? Of course not. This is what you do. And here's the craziest part. The first time I heard that story, I thought to myself, that's a nice story. That's a nice story. I'd love to share that story, but it's not the type of story that I share, right? There are ideas, stories, which are basically designed to remind you of things which you already know. Be a good person, don't steal, don't hurt people, don't speak badly about people, be on time, respect people's time. But then there are the ideas, the stories, the concepts that I share, which are paradigm shifting ideas that you've never heard before, things which are meant to stretch your mind, expand your horizons, shift your paradigms, evolve your perceptions. And I was thinking to myself, this is a great story, but it's not the kind of story that I can share. I was thinking it's a bummer. I'd love to share this story, but it's not my type of story. And guess what? Hashem designed in such a way that I cannot but share that story with you, because this is the craziest hashgacha story of everything literally lining up. Like the amount of money, the fact that they didn't say thank you, the fact that they were happening at the same time I was listening and it was happening in real life, the fact that I literally told myself I'd love to share the story, but I can't because it's not the type of story I share, and this happening. So you know what? I am going to share this, and I am going to tell you something which you know already, but it's, sometimes you need to just remind yourself of the things you know, but it's so powerful to live by. So often we do things because we want other people to recognize us, right? We want external recognition. People say, whoa, look how amazing you are, look at this, look at that. But if you want to live a truly wondrous life, you gotta live it because, number one, it's true, and number two, it's true, and number three, because it's true, no other reason. You do it for you, not for them. People don't appreciate you, they don't recognize you, they don't say thank you, they don't, understand what it took for you to do that. It doesn't matter, because you're not living life for them. You're living life because you're trying to achieve your greatness, you're trying to live your truth, not your truth, but the truth, but it starts by living your truth, your values. And I know you've heard this before, and you know what? I don't usually give musher shmooze. I don't tell people, you should be better, stop doing this, don't do this. But you know what? Once in a while, we just got to remind ourselves of things we already know. And it was one of those things where when I was putting in all the effort, and I was busy, I'm doing all these other things, and I'm still putting the effort to try to return the $20. I was thinking, it might not work out, but this is what you do. This is what it means to be a mensch, to be a good person, to try to live by higher values and higher ideals. So I am going to remind you of things you already know, but isn't this the most incredible story? Like, it's one of those things where I don't ask myself, what are the chances, what are the odds? Like, I believe in divine providence to the most expansive degree where everything in my life is meaningful. But when we're aware of it, when we just try to become more aware of all the incredible things in our life. And that was the most amazing thing, is that I had this flash because I wasn't even aware of it. I was only subconsciously doing this. It's like, yes, was that story, the fact that I was listening to it again and again and again, did it fundamentally impact the fact that I put in the effort? Yes and no. Would I have done anyways? Of course. But just the fact that Hashem was literally sending me that message and all the details lined up, I never heard that story before. It is unbelievable. So the two takeaways are, number one, live for the truth. Don't live for other people to see you living by the truth. And number two, let's try to become more aware of all the incredible divine providence in our life. Try to become more spiritually aware of how everything lines up, because when you are able to see the pieces come together, it's the most amazing thing. And by the way, I'll just end off by that is the Purim story, where you read the Megillah Esther, no miracles. But you read all the pieces lining up and you say, wow, what are the chances, what are the odds of everything lining up? Oh, that's why Megillah, which is a scroll, is the same root as legalgel, to roll, and megalet, to reveal. Because when you roll through the Megillah scroll, it reveals HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it reveals Hashem, it reveals Hashgacha Prat, this divine providence. So let's try to become more aware of all of the incredible things happening in our life. I love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your ideas, your responses, and let's just strive to live our greatest selves.